Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Azure Lane, New Jersey. And we are going to be showcasing a less than ideal situation. And can Big J overcome it? Well, only one way to find out. We're going to get right into this. This is a carrier game. And we are going to essentially be by ourselves on this flank. I know what you're thinking. Well, Spartan, there's a Massachusetts right next to you. That's a brawling battleship that just loves to get down and dirty. You're right. You're right. And, unfortunately, I don't know what happens to him. I couldn't tell you. I legitimately have no idea what happens to this man. But, all I know is, it's going to be me versus this side of the map. Essentially solo. And we're going to do everything we can to at least give our team a chance. And that includes my least favorite thing in the world, which is kiting away in a battleship. Y'all know I like to push up, I like to do my thing, but right off the bat we see two Massachusetts coming towards us. That's a bad idea. The reason is, that's a whole lot of potential secondaries that are going to be extremely accurate and ruin your day. Not to mention, Massachusetts has those fantastic 16-inch 45 caliber American armor piercing rounds that just seem to love to citadel things. And I am going to have no choice but to make a really, really bad turn and try to disengage here because I've got a Miyoko here and two Massachusetts pushing up on me. This is what we call no bueno. Speaking of no bueno, feast your eyes on my Massachusetts location and what he looks like he's doing on the map. Remember, we have two Massachusetts and a fire starter sitting right next to us that are absolutely tearing this man apart. Speaking of tearing apart, this Massachusetts starts to make a turn to get around the island. Unfortunately, we managed to smack their front guns into it, but at least one round made it through because we hit four rounds, and I only thought we had one shell or one turret get through. So we at least hit 4 rounds, but most of those rounds went into the island. But we did blap the crap out of them. Considering 4 rounds, 16,000 damage is pretty solid. But as you can see, I've already started to back off. Now, here I'm prioritizing targets. Why would I choose the cruiser here? Well, it's because the cruiser is actually the bigger threat. Unfortunately, the cruiser also is like, dude, this guy's going to delete me if I'm not careful. And he slows down to go change direction. Just enough to make that shot completely screwed. But you can see, I'm in a kiting position. I'm like, dude, there's no chance I can go toe-to-toe with two Massachusetts and a Miyoko. I know how this ends. This ends with me burning to death very, very quickly. I'm not worried about the Massachusetts guns so much because I have enough armor that I can relatively negate most of the damage I'm going to take from the guns. And as you can see, Massachusetts gives us a broadside. Now remember, this is the build with the Azure Lane, New Jersey commander. So all of the shots beyond 10 kilometers are going to hurt really bad. And if we citadel things, that's where they're really going to hurt. But look at that dispersion. This is the problem. Like, this thing is supposed to be more accurate than an Iowa, than a standard Iowa by a little bit. But because of the perks that we took to try to amplify and get the most out of the damage of the ship, we're actually losing a lot of our accuracy. And therefore, I think limiting our effectiveness with the ship. But that's not going to stop us from having a great game here. And this ship does still, even with this build, somehow manage to put together some nasty salvos that just land and do some really nasty things. But you can see, my Massachusetts already dead. Big surprise. And now I am the one having to fight a Miyoko and two Massachusetts. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to try to kite away and put some distance between me and the bad guys. Remember, Massachusetts and Alabama, they don't have the range that an Iowa class has. We have more range because we have 50 caliber guns. So if we can get some distance, and look at that superstructure hit, my God. And that's inside 10 kilometers. He's chasing me. What do we always say, guys? What do we say on the channel? The only way kiting actually works is if you chase the kite. If you don't chase the kite actually is doing nothing for his team. And you can see Massachusetts #1 making the right call. He's like, no, I'm gonna grab the base. I'm gonna let that freaking Iowa class just sail off into the sunset. I'm gonna ignore him. However, his buddy, not so much. So you can see I'm punishing him for chasing me. And you can see, ouch. Speaking of punish, owie, stop it! Stop blowing holes in my ship. But speaking of punishing, look at the Miyoko's turn he's making here. Now this is one of those situations where you look at a situation and you judge who is going to be the better target, who can I get rid of the quickest. And honestly, anytime you've got a broadside Japanese heavy cruiser, like I feel like that's the quickest potential get rid of. And here he makes the unfortunate call to decide to stay broadside a little too long. And New Jersey does what New Jersey does best, which is remove a ship from the fight. Like, that's just GG's. Now, you may have noticed that I was calling for help. I was like, guys, I need some support over here. I've got a broadside Massachusetts just begging for trouble. And all of my calls for support have gone on deaf ears. Surprise, surprise. Surprise to nobody. But you can see Massachusetts, we're angling really well here. We're getting pretty fortunate with some of the RNG as well. But because of the angling and trying for us to make sure that we're able to get all of our guns to bear to give a full broadside to his 6 guns, we're getting 9 guns to his 6, and we're able to get angled relatively well back before he gets a chance to come back. Now, our battleship does manage to finish off the Massachusetts, and now has to contend with the rest of the enemy team. We have drugged this Massachusetts out for a long ways. He is completely out of the fight if our team is able to take and fight the other guys. And we've managed to survive long enough to give them a chance. Here, another shot, beautiful shot into the superstructure. You love to see it. Managed to hit 9 out of 9 right there. That's right. Now, 2 of them didn't do any damage, but 9 out of 9, okay? That is accuracy at its finest. You don't get any better than that, folks. That is 100%. You love to see it. Now, here, unfortunately, the biggest issue for us is we've run out of room to kite away, and are forced to make one last turn. We know we're dead at this point. He hit us hard enough in our superstructure that time to take us down to 400 health, and we take one more good shot, managed to knock one of his guns, but Massachusetts secondaries on point managed to finish us off. Now, we did everything we could in this one. We really did. We fought our backsides off against all odds. 2 Massachusetts and a Miyoko. We took down one of them, took all of the health from the other 2, and unfortunately just was not enough to carry this team to a victory. And it is what it is. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do. You're gonna have matches like this where you fight your backside off, you do everything you can, and you try to prolong the inevitable, give your team the best possible chance, and by kiting out there and dragging that guy, look at where he's at. Like, this guy is so far out of the fight. The only thing he could potentially shoot at any time in the future is if the carrier gets spotted, he may, in fact, have a shot at the carrier. But that's it. He can't shoot at anything else. Unfortunately, everybody else died on our team, and that left a very, very sour taste in my mouth. I'm not going to lie. It was just frustrating. It was one of those times where you ask for help. You're like, dude, I legitimately was like, I had a guy. If you'd have noted, there was another New Jersey that was at Bravo that when I was asking for help could have given me a beautiful broadside look at my Massachusetts that was chasing me out to the edge of the map. If he helps me kill this guy, then I can come back and we can work together to get rid of the rest of them. But unfortunately, he made the decision to just charge straight ahead. He kills the Massachusetts in the middle, but that also puts him out of position and allows the rest of the enemy team to focus him down, including a Mines and a Florida. A Florida, not a big threat usually to an Iowa-class battleship, but, I mean, if you're being HE spammed by a Mines, you've got a Graf Zeppelin that's trying to kill you, it's very, and this guy's just going to stay on a straight line and eat this torpedo. Like, you can't make it up, folks. You make all of the plays you can, and you hope for the best when it comes to the rest of your team, because you can't control it. And I've gotten to a point anymore where I expect this sort of stuff out of my teammates. So at this point, I just like, okay, this guy's gonna die. This game's pretty much over. He's not going to benefit, or he's not going to give us anything to our team. Massachusetts, however, we did manage to take a lot of his health off, and our carrier has decided he is a potential kill, so our carrier is going to come over and finally give a little bit of support as well. If only we were alive to receive that support. But you can see the carrier's weaving and bobbing, bringing his little dive bombers in, and Lexington does what Lexington does, which is just drop nasty HE on target. And gets a solid hit, but leaves him with just enough to get away. And it's just the carrier that's left at this point. And notice the positioning of the enemy carrier. The enemy carrier is actually in the alpha cap. I know, it's crazy. One carrier's at the back corner of the map, which, again, I can't say anything. I had to kite away too, so sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But one carrier at the back of the map, the other carrier in a cap. Who was more effective? And to the Lexington's credit, I think the Lexington is actually one of the few people on my team that was actually somewhat useful in this one. But again, it's just one of those situations. We've all been here. It's one of those games where there is nothing I could have done differently that would have caused a different result. If I pushed in and tried to deal with those guys, I most likely die much sooner, which allows both of those guys and the Miyoko to potentially focus the rest of our team, and the game's over much sooner. We prolong the inevitable, we do as much damage as we can, and we manage to give our team the best possible chance from our contribution to potentially win this. And the Lexington's going to reap the rewards here. He's going to get a cheeky little torp kill on the Massachusetts, who's about to run into the island. And so that also picks up a clear sky for him, because the enemy carrier is attacking him as well. And with a American AAA all over the carrier with the extended range, like, it's going to chew through planes like nobody's business. Carriers are one of the few things that actually can shoot down planes before they actually get to your ship. So, yeah, carriers are no joke when it comes to AA. It's almost like they have all of the resources available to put into AA. Because if anything gets close enough to start attacking your carriers, that's a very expensive, very vulnerable target that could absolutely get wiped out very quickly. But you can see our guy going back out here. He's trying to attack the other carrier. Graf Zeppelin, not the best carrier in the world, but our guy drops, and look at the damage. Look at that damage, man. That was HE bombs on a carrier. And he just, like, at least quarter health him. That was at least a quarter of that freaking thing's health. Alright? That's nasty. That's probably 15,000 damage right there with that drop. But unfortunately, our carrier is running out of time. Not just because we're running out of time, but because he's got an enemy mines shooting at him from relatively close range. And that's not going to go well for you in a carrier. Or any other ship, to be honest. But, yeah, he's not long for this world. Florida managed to land a hit as well, and that's just going to mean that Mines finishes him that much sooner. But, anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It was a nice little trip out in the Azure Lane, New Jersey. It's a fun ship, it really is, even though I still maintain the fact, you can see Lexington top of the leaderboard, with me coming in second, even though, you know, you could see the other New Jerseys not so helpful. But, anyway, like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Nice little romp out the Azure Lane, New Jersey. I do have one more match that I've already recorded in the New Jersey that I think you guys will enjoy. It's a nice quickie that happened on Two Brothers. And no, it isn't a mid-push, but it is a very fun match where we get absolutely run over by the enemy. And we do everything we can to hold ourselves. But with that being said, if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.